With Matt being week to week, is that more positive than it could have been?
Yes. Apparently, he had gone up there for the exam, and because there was an opportunity, they went ahead and did the procedure. So, other than that, I don't know. We'll see when Ryan gets back today.
You think there's any chance he'd be ready for the regular season?
All I know is that I was told it was week to week. So we'll see what happens when when Ryan gets back today.
Right, was Ryan there with
Yes.
Daryl was out here today, it looked like, for the first time.
Yes, Daryl's moving around very well. So we're optimistic going forward. I mean, still there's no timetable as far as that's concerned, but it is good to see him out here moving around, doing the things that he needs to do. And I don't know if you could know the same thing with Chris Manhart. So we're pretty optimistic about several guys now.
2016, a bunch of guys went down, and you called it a position catastrophe. Now that was mid-season. Now, is the silver lining that there's some time to prepare? Yeah,
because that's the big thing, is that we're still in the middle of training camp. We've got a number of guys that have opportunities. We'll get those guys back because none of those were season-ending. Thank goodness. So now it's just a matter of time, and we'll see how it all unfolds.
Are you thinking Amini could come back sooner rather than later?
I'm hoping. Again, we'll see that because Amini's being evaluated daily, which is a good thing. So we'll see what Ryan has to say later today.
Having gotten like relatively good news so far, is there some sort of silver lining to the fact that guys have been able to step in and get some reps maybe they wouldn't have gotten otherwise?
Well, that's the big thing. I mean, to Jordan's point, is that because we have time to evaluate, look at guys. The guy that's been stellar, and knock on wood, has been Taylor. We've been able to move him around, and he seemed to adapt very nicely. And then we got a group of young guys that have all stepped up, and they're competing. I mean, this is going to be a real tough decision on a lot of these young guys because they're competing right now, and that's very pleasant to see as a coach.
Obviously, this is the dress rehearsal coming up, but when you're in a situation like this, what's the balance in playing a guy like Taylor, who is showing promise and like he's adjusting, versus not wanting to be out there too long just in case?
That's exactly what we got to look at too, and we got to be careful because again, you got a guy that we've moved from one side to the other. We moved from guard to tackle to left tackle. So we most certainly do got to be aware of that. And again, you don't want to overexpose him. But as I said, he's done a great job for us, and I'm very excited about what he's doing.
Is Blaine Clausell the guy behind him immediately?
Yeah, Blaine is. Blaine's really picked it up, and he's done a nice job as well. So we've got some young guys that, as I said, have really been competing very nicely.
Ryan, all that said, is it safe to assume that Marty and Matt Allen and those folks will be keeping an eye out for any available veterans?
Well, I'll just say this: I know they're busy, because again, you just never know what's going to happen from this point, and we have no time frame really for Amini. We have no time frame for Matt. We have no time frame for Daryl. I mean, for the most part, Amini's been day by day. Daryl and Matt are probably week by week. We'll see him evaluate each time.
How much of a jump has Taylor made from year one to year two?
Big. He's made a very big jump, and probably one of the things that's really helped him is that he stayed around in the off season and just did a tremendous job. Being there, working on things. Whenever I would walk by the weight room and just take a quick look and see who's here. He was always there, and it's kind of showing, which is good for him. I mean, I'm very happy because he took ownership and has done a great job.
You talk about position flexibility all the time.
Yes.
Did you see this much in Taylor when you all looked at him and came out of college?
Well, we were looking really guard tackle and predominantly on the right side. To see him be able to flex over to the left side has been very pleasing. And that's the thing that we're excited about, is that he's showing that ability to play right and left. And if you can do that, that's a big deal.
Why do you think a guy like him didn't get really recruited by major schools?
Sometimes guys bloom late. And really, I mean, it's like looking at Ian Thomas. I mean, you look at him and you ever go, wow, he only had one major offer. In fact, he played JUCO for 2 years, and so you always wonder. It just sometimes guys bloom late.
Taking him high last year, Ron, did that sort of take a tackle or a lineman off your board early this year?
It did, and that's one of the things that's always a plus, is if you can get a good player early and he has time to develop. I mean, if you take a guy in the first round or early second, there's almost an anticipation that he has to be ready to roll. But when you get a guy that you can develop and take time, that's a huge plus. And for Taylor, I think that's what happened. He took the year and learned and developed and did the things that rookies are supposed to, and now it's kind of showing, and hopefully he can continue to grow.
Rod, now that you've been through a couple of preseason games, do you feel like you have a firm handle on what the new tackle rule is in the helmet to helmet?
I just know this much, and again, you know, sitting in those meetings and listening to what was being said, it's really about, you know, don't lead with your head. Ram button spear are code words, and then, you know, helmet and body position. You know, that's what they're really looking for. And I think what everybody's got to understand is, first and foremost, this is the preseason, and not only are we working on things, but the referees are. And you know, there's a lot of opinions on what's going on, and so what they're trying to do is they're looking at what's happening, they're looking at what calls are being made, they're evaluating them, they're sending us good tape on it to look at, and you know, a lot of us have an opportunity to call Alberto and Rivera and ask him, hey, you know, what about this, how about that? And so I think the explanations are coming, and I think everybody's just got to understand right now the referees are still working through this, and I think this is a work in progress, and hopefully by the end of the preseason we'll have a good set of basic rules to follow, to go by, and I think hopefully they've worked it all out, and that's what I'm hoping is that right now it's an opportunity for the referees and for the coaches and for the players to get a good feel for what is going to be called and what's not going to be called.
So they send you stuff on a week-to-week basis, Ron?
Well, they do, basically, because it's all part of what we get every week. Okay. We get a definition of what's happened, why it happened. So it's a chance for us to learn, you know, to continue to learn the rules, and not just for that, but for all the rules that are out there.
You mentioned yesterday about Norv having to adjust a little bit with all the injuries up front. How about Cam? How has he had to adjust?
Well, I think Cam's adjustment's really going to be based on what we're doing offensively. You know, what the game plan's going to call for more than it is anything else. So again, I just think it's about reacting to what, you know, we're putting in and what we're installing for this week.
What kind of a test are the Patriots going to?
Oh, I think a very good test, and I'm excited about them being our third game. I really am. You know, we've had them before, and really, to me, it's a great litmus test. I mean, this is one of the gold standard teams in this league. You want to be able to play well against a team like that. You know, we're going to go against Tom Brady, who's, you know, probably one of the premier quarterbacks in the league, obviously, and he'll be a good test for our defense too. So I'm excited about it. I really am. I think this is the type of litmus test that you want to have in week 3, because you can really gauge where you are.
Do you and Bill have any say in getting this on that week 3 preseason?
I don't think so. We've been fortunate that it's come up a couple of times. So, and I really do appreciate the fact that we're playing a very good football team.
Ron, it's small sample size against 2 teams that weren't game planning. What do you make, what are we to make of Cam's completion percentage in the early going?
That he's making good decisions. I mean, and even if you went back and you look at his targets and say, okay, what was the decision behind these targets? You know, because again, I go back to what happened in the Buffalo game, him being high a couple times to Greg. I mean, those are excellent decisions. Just, you know, he's got to deliver a better ball. Then you go through and you say, wow, you know, last week he targeted a couple throws that were outstanding. Probably the biggest mistake he made was he floated the one to the deep over to Greg. I mean, truthfully, he had Christian underneath, but I also think if he put some air into the ball and threw it to the sideline to where only Greg could catch it, we had a chance for a big play. So I think he's been making good decisions. I think a big part of it too is what his combinations have been. You know, he goes to his initial read and he goes to his next one. He's been really good with that too as well.
And you've been around Norv a lot. I mean, do you consider Norv's offense a high completion type?
Yes,
offense?
I do. And again, you know, just remember when Rob Chudzinski came in, we had been with Norv. Rob had been with, you know, Chud had been with Norv on 2 separate occasions. So what I was hoping that we would get a version of Coach's offense, and we've grown it. Mike did a tremendous job for us for 5 seasons, continue to grow it, and you know, now we've basically have the guy that it was modeled from. Running it now, so I'm excited about, you know, what we can do and what we could potentially be if we can stay healthy and you know, keep things going.
Obviously, a lot of talk about Taylor's versatility. Jeremiah.
Absolutely, Jeremiah's another one of those guys, and you guys know I do talk about position flexibility, especially on the offensive line. Those play huge. You know, guys that can play, you know, more than one position. You know, they have a chance to have a bright future in this league and play for a while. And Jeremiah is one of those guys as well. And so those guys are valuable to you, because now when you come up to make your 46, you've got to have a guy he's either going to be a center guard combination or a guard tackle. And probably the rarest of all, if you get a tackle center, that's pretty doggone good.
To see what Jeremiah had to do in Minnesota, he had to step up again in Minnesota last year. Was that a weighing factor in your decision to
part of it, and the fact that he had been in Norv's system. So when you have a guy that's been, you know, And you know, bringing Wright there was the same idea too. Is that these guys that have been there can sit there and tell everybody, hey, what to expect, how to anticipate things. And I think Jarris has really helped the wide receivers to understand, you know, what Norv's expectations are of them. Well, same thing with Jeremiah. He told those guys right off the bat, you know, what Norv is, who he is, and it was good for Matt Kalil as well.
Hey Ron, could this potentially be a learning moment for DJ in terms of increased responsibility and visibility and things like that?
Very much so. You know, when it all happened, DJ came to us right away, explained the situation. He was very remorseful. He understood. We chastised him, obviously, and you know, he's moving on. And again, it is an opportunity for him to learn, and not just him, but the other young guys that, you know, hey, you've got a responsibility to the community.
And you guys have classes. You guys have all these sessions with Mark Carrier and classes with your former police officers on staff.
Absolutely. So it's an opportunity for these young men to learn, and hopefully he's learned, and we'll move from there.